Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Beating COVID 19. Today, we're going to talk about how many people do you save when you apply the 4C's plus one, the fifth C as well. When you clean your hands, you keep your safe distance, you stay at home. I'm just writing the notes again. Clean, clear, chill, cover, and change. Yeah. So when you clean your hands, you clear your distance, keep your safe distance, you chill at home, and you cover your mouth, and when you change your mind and not go around visiting everybody, or if you have to, you carry a change of clothes that you don't carry any infection to them. Now, I will start with your most effective deterrent against spreading the coronavirus. Once again, I have notes. So all this material that we're talking about, I will post in the comments on Facebook and add in the comments in YouTube as well. So number one, hand washing. Now, because our hands are the primary collector of infection, as in if somebody coughs onto a surface and then we touch it with our hands and touch our mouths and nose, we infect ourselves. Or we may touch other people and infect them. So to 100% clean your hands, that means you wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds while listening to the most chorus, you effectively 100% destroy the virus. So washing your hands is very important with basic soap and water. Not necessarily hand wash, even sunlight will do, panga soap will do, even dilute jik water will do the same thing. It's all about just cleaning your hands thoroughly for about 20 seconds, giving the soap, the active ingredients of the soap, the time to rip apart the covering of the virus. There's a very good article which I'll attach from vox.com showing you how all the steps of what soap can do to actually effectively clean your hands off the virus. Now, hand sanitizer, you need a minimum 60% alcohol-based hand sanitizer. And for that, you can buy them off the shelf and just make sure you rub it properly on your hands. Number two, in the event that you do not find hand sanitizer, you go to a shop and it's like emergency, you can't buy the cheapest perfume or aftershave. They have between 60 to 85% alcohol. You can read the label, and if it says 80% per volume, that is the amount of alcohol in the content in the perfume. Therefore, it's a cheap or the toilet, it will be fine. You just have to spray on your hands, rub. The alcohol evaporates, you have nice smelling hands, and that's your emergency sanitizer. That's sanitizer tip number one. You can take that aftershave and put some glycerin in it, and you can also use that as an emergency sanitizer. It is not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Number two, face covering, your masks. How does your mask save lives? You see, washing hands saves lives by effectively cleaning your hands from the virus, making it very difficult, apart from directly coughing on somebody, to passing the virus on to them. Now, face covering reduces the distance the infection can go. So let's say I have the virus. So I wear a mask, like let's say regular face covering mask. I know most people say use N95. N95s are effective because they filter out 95% of all particles, either going in or coming out, depending on the type of mask you have. Now, you could have an N100, which filters everything. But N95s, surgical masks, are mostly used by the people who need them most, the surgical teams, the hospital teams. And if you can afford to get an N95, good for you. But if you can't afford to get an N95, please let the N95 experts use N95 to save lives. Ask the local guy, if you have a regular cloth, 100% cotton cloth mask, which you make sure you wrap over your nose, cover your nose and mouth. This reduces the distance for which the virus can spread. Normally, when you cough, you can cough for a distance of maybe 7-8 feet, possibly about 1.5-2 meters. That's why the social distancing rule is 1.5 to 2 meters distance, which means it allows the droplets to fall on the ground. But once you cover that, you reduce the distance, which means if you wore a mask, you wouldn't be able to cough through the mask, the droplets, far enough. Number two, you will also be able to trap most of the virus. But as I said, caveat, if I have the virus, you'll trap a lot of the virus in your own mask and not pass it through to somebody else. And also, somebody else who may have the virus and you don't, will be able not to transmit too much through the mask to you. So you reduce the amount of contact to virus that you have. Now, if you're in a mask situation, make sure you wash your hands, because in case somebody has coughed on that surface, you can use the emergency hand sanitizer or the normal hand sanitizer, ordinary soap and water, to reduce the likelihood of infection to 0. 2. Number 3. If you keep your social distance. Now, I'll say social distance is keeping a distance of about 1.5 to 2 meters, and I'll tie social distancing to staying at home. Now, the fun thing and the most important thing about those two items is that there is a calculator, and I will put it in the comments, that allows you to know how many lives you will save if you ignore everything, if you provide a social distancing, if you isolate at home, only going out for normal or utility things, and if you hang out only with your friends. Well, I took the test, so I have a few statistics I can share with you. Now, if you ignore everything, so you ignore social distancing, you ignore the mask, you don't wash your hands, you just say, this thing is fake. Guess what's going to happen? If you get it, you have the likelihood of infecting about 405 people. As in, you'll infect one person, will infect another, will infect another, will infect another, you'll infect another person. Then by cascading over a period of time, you will have infected about 400 people. Now, I might not be able to show you that in mathematics, but when I put the calculator on the comments, kindly go do the calculation and see for yourself how many people you will infect and how many people would die if you did not social distance or stay home and only go out when necessary. Number 2, if you kept the social distancing rule, you reduce the number of people by more than half and reduce the number of deaths by about 10 or less people. If you continue social isolating, as in you only keep your limit to your friends, now you start protecting lives rather than infecting lives. You protect over 300 people with no deaths. And if you socially isolate completely, like you chill at home and only go out for necessary things, you will save nearly 400 lives. So, if you ignore anything or everything and you get infected, you are likely to infect about 400 people. As in, you infect other people who infect other people, the cascading result. But if you are socially isolating, as in you keep your distance, you will protect nearly 300 people. If you limit your circle to your friends, and if you spend only going out of your home to get valuable stuff, you will save about 400 people. If you keep social distancing, you might infect a few. But you know what? I'll leave you to do the calculator yourself. The calculator exists, was made by 2 PhD students, and it's a very interesting way of understanding how a virus would spread if you took the necessary steps to keep yourself socially distant or also to stay at home. So let's go through the 4 C's and the 1 extra C. Okay, number 1, clean your hands. C number 1 is clean your hands. Number 2, clear your distance. Make sure you keep a distance between you and the other person. Physical distancing, not social distancing where I'm like, I've got my phone and you have your phone. No. Physical social distancing, as in you physically separate from people and you also give distance to other people. Number 3, cover your face. If you use a face mask, you prevent people from infecting you if they are wearing a face mask, and you, if you're infected, you don't spread it to other people. Do not forget the statistics. Up to 80% of those infected are asymptomatic or have a mild variety of the virus, which means 8 out of 10 infected people don't show signs. So they could be carrying and infecting other people without knowing. But if they clean their hands, they keep their distance, they cover their face, even if they don't know they have it, they have an opportunity to save so many lives. Number 4, chill at home. When you stay home, you eliminate yourself from the infection pool. You are not available for infection. That's basically it. If you have to go out to shop, to pick valuables, to collect items, to drop parcels and pick others, then go out with the normal precaution. Number 1, clean your hands. Carry your emergency sanitizer. Number 2, keep distance wherever you go. Number 3, cover your mouth with a mask. And in your case, it adds number 5. Either change your mind, don't go, or carry a change of clothes, or change your clothes when you come home. Because if you go out in public, you don't know where you've touched, what you've touched. You may have protected yourself, but your hands, your clothing, your box, whatever you've carried, maybe it's a parcel, maybe it's food, maybe it's whatever, that could have some infection. Somebody could have handled it. We have had cases where supermarkets have been closed because a member of staff was found to be infected. So you can imagine how many boxes and parcels and goods that person has filled out for paying clients and inadvertently transferred the virus onto the packaging of, say, a loaf of bread, packet of milk. So it's very important that you do your best to apply the 4+1C so that A, we reduce the spread, flatten the curve, and on top of that, we keep each other safe. We are our brothers' keepers, our sisters' keepers, our wives' keepers, our friends' keepers. So do your part and trust God, He's doing His. One last thing is this. If the virus was a world killer, let's assume that it had the inverse proportion, that 80% of the people were critical. If 80% of the people were critical, then it would be a mass annihilation of the human race. So if you ask whether God is doing His thing, I think my answer is simple. 80% of us will make it if we get infected. Now, if you watched yesterday's episode, it talked about how to keep healthy, eat the right foods, have a good diet, boost your immunity, and also improve your will to live and positivity in your life. I urge you to look at yesterday's episode, and as I post today's episode, I will add in all this missing information so that you guys can stay on top of it. You know, this whole live cast is called Beating COVID-19. And I've made it my purpose, as much as I can, and as much as God gives me strength, to make sure that you beat COVID-19. Thank you for taking the time today. I wish you all the best. God bless. Observe the 4+1 C's, and let's see you tomorrow. Thank you.